Evolution. Isn't it mesmerizing? The steady, unconscious changes we face emotionally and intellectually are not only fascinating but interesting to observe. Welcome to today's episode on the introspection of human evolution with Ranbir Dutt, Abhiraj Singh, Devansh Gupta, Arav Agarwal, and Shredev Gulati. And welcome to the podcast Extraordinary Evolutions. Today, we'll be talking about the steady evolution that Homo sapiens will face in the coming years into Homo deus, which is the next generation of humans. When humanity takes a look at his agenda for the day, he does not see the age-old problems of war, death, and disease that had plagued him since the Renaissance. These have already been conquered by the wise people in our society. The war part has already been conquered by everyone by engaging in peace treaties. Death has been already undergoing conquering, with scientists developing different tools to undergo death, and disease has already been conquered by scientists by taking up vaccinations, immune systems, etc. But today, we'll be talking about what makes Homo sapiens into Homo deus. The problem is, we're all undergoing a very big intelligence revolution in the coming years that's going to hit us, which will make us Homo deus. Homo deus are the people who are next generation humans, who will think about not only these problems, but they'll innovate, they'll extraordinarily innovate. Since the Renaissance, we've already been starting to turn into Homo deus people. We have made computers that can think. We've made electricity, we've made technology, we've made whatnot. And this is how we have proof of us turning into Homo deus. But even if we transform into Homo deus, is there a stage that we can observe in between in order to fill up the significant gap? Homo deus are the people who will innovate, like they'll think about happiness more, or they'll think about what makes us optimistic rather than pessimistic people. And that is what we're transforming in the middle. But we have to understand that in the course of us traveling into Homo deus people, there's a revolution that's going to hit us called the intelligence revolution. This is going to include the happiness revolution, the emotional revolution, and the intellectual revolution. All three we'll have to be prepared for, because at the point at which we hit these revolutions, we have to cope up with them in order to turn successfully into Homo deus people. Now, what are we right now? Are we Homo sapiens or are we Homo deus? It does not matter. We're in the stage of becoming Homo deus. And how do we get ready for these revolutions to hit us?
What is the guarantee of us actually transforming into such su- super, superheroes?
Well, that's quite straightforward to answer. In these intelligence revolution, emotional revolution, and the happiness revolution, we'll all hit a stage where we'll become more evolved and more matured than we actually are. So at the point at which we hit the intelligence revolution, we'll innovate a lot. We'll think about stuff that we have never thought about, like flying cars or anything else, making duplicate copies of ourselves. That's the intelligence revolution. The emotional revolution is going to evolve, making us experience emotions that we might have never experienced before, and that could lead to a lot of destruction if we are not prepared for it. And the happiness revolution is where we, as philosophers, will think alike into what actually makes us humans, what actually makes us into human beings. And that is where we'll come up and where philosophers will come up and hit the happiness revolution. But amongst all this, amongst us turning into Homo deus people, there's also going to be a lot of destruction at hand. Because of the problems we've already created and the problems we have already solved, it becomes really, really hard for us to cope up with these revolutions. So the obvious thing that comes to our mind is anticipation of how do we actually solve, how do we actually undergo these revolutions. The answer is quite simple. We all have a state of mind. We all have a point at which we'll undergo severe depression, or undergo new emotions, or undergo a need or urge to innovate. And at that point, we must let it flow, because it's all nature's cycle to evolve into human beings that we never knew. Does anyone have any questions for me?
So, I have one question. What are the significant changes we observe in order to quantify the era as Homo deus?
Well, we've already seen us developing vaccinations, computers, technology, speakers, whatnot, magnetism, there's physics that's coming in, chemistry, everything. And since the Renaissance, we've been very free innovators because we've already been into a stage of developing into free thinking. And that's how we're quantifying ourselves as Homo Deus, people who have next generation thinking.
Even I have a question. Was there a species of humans before Homo sapiens?
Well, before Homo sapiens, there was something called Homo erectus, which were prehistoric people who used to survive on basic necessities like stone tools, etc. And that was the species of human before Homo sapiens.
What is the guarantee of us actually transforming into such superheroes?
Well, nothing is sure because as scientists observe, we are already undergoing stages and hence we are making quantifications of how we can actually transform into such superheroes. Thank you for listening. Next time we'll be discussing how how we as Homo Deus people would have to work daily to survive in this ever-changing world. Thank you for listening.